So if you're starting out and you are trying to make friends and you're an introvert, then this video can probably give you some tips into what kind of things that at least very much helped me when I was trying to go through that process of becoming a little more sociable. Because we all kind of know that if you're an introvert, then your social battery is it drains much faster than a typical person. So how do you actually make the best of it and try to utilize your energy so that you are pacing yourself and not wearing yourself out before anything actually happens? If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and we will keep this conversation going. And now let's get into the tips. So the first tip is don't be overly out of character. I don't know if you ever had these kind of experiences where you are just trying to get to know some people and you go into this group, but it feels like the group is just way too different than you and you have to stretch everything that you are in order to at least be in the conversation or be at their pace. And when this happens, people usually have the tendency to be one, either extremely quiet and not say anything at all, or two, they try to laugh at everyone's jokes or just talk way too much to try to kind of fit in and try to please the people by really affirming what other people are saying. But that kind of gives off a different effect because you're pretty much putting on a performance. And that is not you, and I don't think any one of us wants to be, looking fake or feeling fake when we're trying to make friends. However, this does not mean that you should not stretch yourself at all. This just means that if you're just starting out, find the people that you can talk to without feeling like you're overly out of character. If you can talk to this person and feel a little stretched and a little out of your comfort zone, that's probably the place to be. And you can talk to this person and gradually become more comfortable in expanding and talking about different things. And then once you have expanded a little bit in terms of your ability to adapt, then find other people that can stretch you a little bit more. And then over time, you will be able to talk to a range of different people. The second tip is start and end with a smile. There's a stat that goes around saying that if you are, if there's an interviewer and there's a whole list of interviewees, he will probably have a little more impression on the first and last interviewee of the whole process. And this is because we remember the start and the end of something a little more than other things, the middle parts, for whatever reason. Maybe this is just the reason our memories process. So we are going to use that to our advantage, that if we want to give off a good impression, even if the conversation is really short, start and end with a smile to give off the impression that you're enjoying this, that this is a positive experience that you are having. And people much more so like to talk to people that like who they are and like enjoying the conversation. And when I'm talking about smiles, it doesn't exactly have to be something huge. This can just be something slight. A small smile that communicates that message, and it'll be fine. And the third tip is remembering one thing. I can remember when I was just starting out, there are times when I was just so frazzled that I pretty much forgot the person's name, forgot everything, almost everything that we talked about, had a blank slate in terms of who this person is, and then the next time when I see this person, it was almost awkward because that person knew more about me than me about him. And even now, I forget people's names, still. I like to think that's normal, but no, who knows. But the whole point here is focus on remembering one thing about the person, even if it's just that person's name. And then use that as a form to connect to the next conversation. Because when we're looking at conversations, it can seem like short, small conversations that you have with people. But It can also be one long conversation where you have a bunch of small conversations being stringed up together with like different like pauses in between each conversation. To some extent, depending on how deep your conversations were, these might actually overpower different friendships that happen but a lot on a more frequent basis. Like if I had a deep conversation with someone once a week, that might actually overpower or be a deeper relationship with that person than if that person hung out with another person, but they hung out 3 times a week, but they just play games and they don't really talk about anything serious. That's why time isn't exactly a factor. Well, it's a factor, but it doesn't determine how strong your relationships are. Depth does. Now the last tip that I have is slowly but consistently. When we're developing friendships, kind of like what I was mentioning before, friendships takes time gradually. They kind of build like one brick at a time. And it might seem like a really long process and you kind of want to rush it, but it's not something that you can rush. And during this time, the hardest thing to do is actually be consistent, because when you are trying to develop friendships with other people and other people already have their own friend groups, you are kind of looking at other people and be like, man, they have all their friends, they're hanging out, they're having fun. How come I'm not being able to establish those bonds quicker? What makes me different? But in reality, these friendships has to be cultivated over time, and it takes consistency, and it takes pushing and really getting to know people. If I'm a beginner at a martial arts class, however, I constantly compare myself to all the black belts and seeing how they can do these amazing punches, amazing kicks, and here I am practicing punching the sandbag for like 100 times just by myself in a little corner. I feel pretty discouraged, but I know that over time the training will pay off and I have to go at my own pace, because some of these people, they have already been practicing for a good amount of time. So same thing with socially, that if we know that our capacity is smaller right now, work to expand it and to grow it so that over time you will be able to do more and more things, rather than sitting here and really feel like it's taking way too much time to think about the things that you don't have. So be consistent and go out there and really try and engage with people and push yourself. Hopefully those tips were helpful. If you have any questions or things that you feel like really helped you, feel free to share or comment. And then usual, like, subscribe, share, comment, and I will see you guys next time.